Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about a project that I made about 4 or 5 years ago. I made about a dozen of these rocking chairs, and this is probably the better one of the bunch that I made. Actually, I keep this one in my shop, so when it's time for a good break, I've got a good chair to sit in, and I really enjoy it. It does sit comfortable, and it's got a good rustic appeal that fits in perfect into my shop. So if you want to grab you a pen and paper, it'd probably be best. That way you could write down some of these dimensions that I'll give you here in a little bit. But keep in mind that with it being made of logs, if your logs are different dimensions than mine, it's going to change a few things. So my dimensions will get you in a ballpark, but they won't be perfect for you. You'll have to adjust a little bit, but hopefully this will help you out. First thing I want you to notice is if I turn the camera to where this would be like a chair sitting, you'll notice that that front set of legs is actually a little longer than a standard chair. That if you didn't have that rocker on there, it would be a chair that would sit kind of more leaning towards the back. So that's the one thing that I noticed when I built the rocking chairs, is that if you don't get that correct, what that's going to do is change how this rocking chair sits. If you've ever gotten to a rocking chair that's set back way too far, it's really kind of scary and it's really unsafe, especially for people with back issues, as you might pull your back out when you sit down in there to scare you half to death, and it can get you injured. So at any rate, I'm going to give you some dimensions here. So like I say, if you want to get you a pen and paper, you can pause the video, and hopefully these dimensions will help you out. Starting with the back log, this log's total length is 37 inches. That is from top to bottom, it's 37 inches. You measure from the bottom up to this first piece here, that is 34 inches. And to this piece from the bottom is 21 inches. This piece here to the bottom is at 14 inches. Okay, that's the bracket that's going across for the back. And this front log, the length of it is 21 inches. The arm is a total length of 19 inches. And the front support, which is this piece going across here, is 26 inches. The seat depth is at 20 and a half. The back is at 23. These back supports, which are the logs that go across the back, are 19 inches. Now what I did to get my rockers is I took a rocking chair that we had in the family for years, and I just basically traced that rocker out onto a piece of oak. I took like a 1x6 oak. It may have been 5/4, but at any rate it was somewhere around that dimension. You want to use oak because that needs to be the strongest piece of wood you've got on this rocker. What I used is I used sweet gum for the log. I used cherry for the back and the seat, and used a little bit of cedar to give me my bracing that I used in the front. If you'll notice across here, I braced it so that the legs are not wanting to go in or outward. And I also put some bracing across the back. And again, that keeps it to where it's more stable. When you build your rocking chair, whether you build it out of 2x6s or post or logs or whatever, when you rock your rocker, if it's smooth as this one is, you've done good by getting the rockers on the bottom smooth. If they have any divots in them, what you will have is a boom, 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 boom. Every time the rocking chair goes back and forth, you'll get a vibration. So you've got to make sure that when you cut that you get a good smooth cut all the way across. Now, if you notice, what I did is I used a system a little bit different on the logs. I used a mortise and tenon, and what I did is I bought two different kits. One you would hook to a high-powered drill, and the other you would put onto a router. I'm going to tell you, there's good and bad about both of them. The thing that I did not like about the one on the high-powered drill is if you've got that log set up in a vise or whatever, and you come across a knot, well, it's not going to give, and what it's going to do is it's going to put a real strong jerk, and when it does, it will about break your arm. So you would not want to use oak on that thing, I can tell you, because it probably would break your wrist or your arm. I use sweet gum, and I cut it in the wintertime, and with me cutting it in the wintertime, it was very wet inside, and that made it a lot easier to use on that mortise and tenon. Like I said, I also bought one that was made to go to a router. The problem I had with the router is you had to turn the log. You had to spin it by hand, and that would give you a very oblong tenon. So it really made it very difficult. So I cannot suggest buying either one of these systems unless, like I say, you're going to use it on a very wet wood like gum. I would use the one that you put on a high power drill. It's actually cheaper, and it did make a very nice tenon, so I really liked using it. But yeah, I really enjoyed this rocking chair, and I like the way it sits. One thing I want to point out to you is when you put it together, make sure to put it together kind of loose to start with, and then try rocking it and see how it does. If you notice that it wobbles, it could be that you may have the left side higher than the right, or vice versa. It takes a little bit of tweaking, and the more you fool with this, the more you'll see what I'm talking about. That you just want to keep it to where everything is as square as you can get it, and that's kind of hard to do when you're working with logs because they're not straight. If you notice here on this log, it's got a sweep to it, and I wanted that so that it kind of sweeped in and out. As you would sit in it, it would be more comfortable for your arms to rest on there. Now, if you cut the tree in the wintertime like I did, it will actually hold the bark. If you cut it in the wintertime, this bark will stay on these logs. These logs, well, this rocking chair itself, I made it about somewhere between 4 and 6 years ago. I don't recall exactly, but you can see that the bark is still on it. But the good of it is when you take your draw knife, the day you cut this tree, take your draw knife, and that's when you want to feather this out. Even if you're not going to make this rocking chair for another year, you want to cut that with a draw knife the day that you cut the tree. And what will happen is it will leave a nice crisp streak in there of naked wood with no bark. But if you do it that day, it will actually try to heal itself and will actually give a flat bark on there, which is really nice. So that's probably the best tip I can give you on this. I really like how it turned out. That was a trick I learned by accident. And I put these supports under there later on because the rocking chair did have a lot of wobble to it. But once I put the supports under there, that took it out. I probably could have used a lot smaller and just kind of hid them up in here as opposed to such massive. But this rocking chair will never get out of this shop. It's something that I enjoy here in the shop, and just taking it easy. So it's really been pleasurable. The only measurement I forgot to give you folks is from the bottom of this log here to the top of this point here is 13 inches. Again, that's from the bottom of the front log to the top of this support is 13 inches to get the bottom support of your I guess the bottom of your seat. And one thing else I want to show you is if you put a square onto the back of the log, you'll notice that it is not 90 degrees. So I believe that's probably going to be about 110 between the arm going downward to the arm. So anyway, hopefully that helped y'all out. Hopefully y'all have some fun with this. I think it's a pretty neat piece. I really enjoyed making them, and hopefully you guys can leave me some good comments down there too and help me out. We all came here to learn and learn from each other, so please leave some comments. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and check out a few of my other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Take care. Bye-bye.